They say it's warm. Yeah, St. Petersburg, Russian Federation. Very far away from Ukraine actually, but the International Economic Forum that is ongoing in the same city was visited by Ukrainian drones today. Magyar. No one invited him, but he decided to show on practice the advancements of the Ukrainian drone technology and how it may influence the Russian economy. Yeah, after all, it's the Economic Forum. And the part of the economy that was hit is this oil storage and oil port in St. Petersburg itself. You see, Russians are surprised, such big eyes. Oh my... This is just SMO and Ukraine participating in the forum. Everything is okay, everything goes according to plan. This is the strategic part of the Russian oil infrastructure. If before Ukraine hit Ust-Luga port Primorsk, well, this one is located just in St. Petersburg. Yeah, if we zoom into the St. Petersburg itself, the port is located in the southwestern part of the city, and here you can see big reservoirs. They were hit, and those are the tankers which are exporting the Russian sanctioned oil. Well, this facility is no-go for at least some period of the time. Most of the videos were filmed from those buildings, located more to the south. So yeah, this part is quite far away from the central part of the St. Petersburg, but nevertheless the air defense was in operation and the Russians tried to shut down those drones with the help of Kalashnikovs. And kabooms, of course, were heard all around the St. Petersburg and all of those international guests like Andrew Tate. I think that they were surprised about the Ukrainian drone technology, and yeah, the smoke cloud is huge, you know, it is visible from any point of the city. The guests are going to the forum itself, to that building, and there is the dark smoke on the background. I wonder what kind of the investors would be interested in investing to Russian economy if their economy could be kaboomed by Magyar birds or some other unit. By the way, this operation, after all, was done by Ukrainian SBU, very capable unit as well, the one that performed the spiderweb operation 1 year ago, and we see that Ukraine is capable. So Ukraine was really serious. The last months, on May the 9th, and then there was the Russian parade, and only with the help of Donald Trump, Putin avoided the personal humiliation, which chased him today. Well, Ukraine could have hit the port in St. Petersburg at any sort of the day, but it was important to do it at the day of the opening of this international forum, which is very important for Russia actually, and Putin visits it every year. It is like the part of this program, and Putin is one of the main speakers there. And yeah, usually he tells the things which are not related to economy, yeah, his usual bullshit, but anyways, he is expected to visit it. However, now I would put it under the question, especially the air defense capabilities of Russia in St. Petersburg. They're not that good. So you see, the air defense is in operation, but it's not Panzer S1 or something, not Tor, just the guy with Kalashnikov shooting looted drone and of course misses everything, just local police officer, and other people, they're like, okay, let's film this stuff. They're not even in the shelters, they do not understand that this is SMO and the drones carry TNT, you know? So it's better to hide, because the drone, well, maybe it will be even intercepted by the Russian air defense, electronic warfare, there could be some of the malfunctions, so it might go actually to the residential buildings. So Russians, you start this war with your president, so you should expect circumstances. But because Ukrainian drones are not that often flying in St. Petersburg itself, well, they are still wandering around, risking their own lives. So yeah, my suggestions, Russians go to the shelter. This is war. This is actually not SMO. This is not what Putin tells you from Russian propaganda TV. And again, it seems like all of the air defense was moved to protect Putin's bunkers and Moscow itself. And for St. Petersburg, they deployed several of the police officers with AK-74 or something else. By the way, it's kind of dangerous to pew-pew in the city, because bullets may fly and hit also some places. If they go up, they do not go to the space, no, they fall down. Yeah, that's a really big kaboom, and it's still on fire. Ukraine was really successful. Well, one of the drones hit nearby, yeah, some of the malfunctions, as I told you. But in general, the strike was really successful. My friends, just a reminder, it's not that I like those reminders all the time, but they are very important. Press like to this video just right now while you're watching it, and also subscribe for the channel. It boosts the content in algorithms. Thank you so much. Let's continue with the video. Yeah, Russians are satisfied filming those circle videos, publishing on their groups.
Ой-ой-ой-ой-ой. Это пиздец.
Это пиздец. Translation, this is fantastic. Yeah, looks like Luty or maybe FP2. And I wouldn't say that it was flying at a very low altitude or something, no? Yeah, Russia simply is too big, and Russia really depends on its oil, so yeah, they are unable to protect everything, all of the facilities, all of the enterprises, and they need to protect not just oil but Putin himself and critical Russian military bases. So the potential to target something in Russia for Ukraine, it's almost endless. Well, not just the oil port was hit, but also Russian Navy base. It's called Kronstadt, and there Russia lost one of the military ships. Well, I guess not lost completely, but it was significantly damaged, and there was the huge fire. The ship that was hit is the Russian corvette Boeing. It was in the docks for the maintenance, so here is... It's kind of the big ship, I would say. Ship. Yeah, ship is the animal, ship is the ship. So here we go, in the docks, and it was targeted by Ukrainian drone, and there is the fire. The other drone is going to finish the job. So at least 2 of the strikes were there, and some of the port info. Yeah, so you see, this is the ship, and it's on fire. The upper part, command deck, where there is the most vulnerable equipment. So this ship is no-go, and as we know, the drama with the Russian air carrier, I think its name is Admiral Kuznetsov. After 2 of the fires, Russia decided not to maintain it any longer, and they've scrapped it. So the same scenario could be with this one, especially after 2 of the strikes. And of course, yeah, Ukraine continued to visit Russian oil ports. We have tons of the videos coming from the place, filmed by Russians. Russians are not hiding, they're so brave, they're filming how their oil is burning. And you see why Russia is unable to intercept the drone. Yeah, this is the bird flying, and this is the drone. Few meters over the water, and of course it's not visible for the Russian raiders, but Russians start to tell that, oh, this is Estonia or some other country of the Baltic states, and they allow Ukrainian drones to be based on their territory or overfly their territory to reach Russia from unexpected direction, and that's why the Russian air defense is unable to intercept those drones, but it's just a hoax. And guys, we already have a new satellite images, so the ship, it looks like it is gone. The traces of the fire are closer to the aft part, I see them, and the forward part, it was smoking, it was in flames. I think Russia needs to build basically a new ship after today's strikes. And here are those several tanks which were hit in this port, and here we have the actual satellite image. It is burning. Well, the Kremlin spokesman Peskov has stated that a special military operation is necessary to prevent attacks like one on St. Petersburg. Where is the freaking logic? Peskov, it is happening because you started a special military operation. No one attacked St. Petersburg, Moscow, or any other Russian city. No one was planning those attacks before you started this crazy war. The war could be conducted by both of the sides. Peskov, you know, you cannot demand from Ukraine not to respond on your attacks, and you use absolutely everything on Ukraine except nuclear weapons. So Ukraine also has the right to respond quite successfully. But Peskov puts, everything vice versa for Russian management, Russian military command, and they want to continue the special military operation, and they say about it openly during the same St. Petersburg Economy Forum. And the conference, they were saying about the scenario of the future, so best variant for Russia in the special military operation, and not so good variant for Russia, so the bad scenario, which they also forecast. Very interesting. Well, let's put those images to ChatGPT and it will translate everything of that into English. So let's discuss what Russia projects for itself. And there was the Russian peace or Russian war ideologist Dugin and some other Russian ideologists, and they also have political weight in Russia and some sort of the power, at least for propaganda, but of course they're also integrated into the Kremlin regime itself. So I put those scenarios, make same but in English, and we have the English translation, even the same design. But let's start from the good variants for Russia, yeah? So the good scenario, we have the forecast till 2036, and by the way, this number is not a random one, this is the end of the Putin's term. Yeah, he was just elected in 2024, his term finishes in 2030, but he aims for one more term. So end of the second term in a row, it's 2036, and they also have a long-term forecast till 2050. And I believe this is the real planning. So what we have here, a clear image of victory in ideological war based on the forecasting and strategic design. I don't see that it is happening, like there is no image of the victory anytime soon. Incorporation of Kiev, Odessa, Kharkiv, so basically occupation, yeah. Victory in the ideological struggle, final consolidation of the sovereign worldview, again similar to the first one. Establishment of bipolarity, well, bipolarity is in Russians' heads, while preserving a position in which Russia plays the leading role. So they want to make Russia great again and restore the Russian Empire. Disintegration of the European Union, and now we know that's the goal not just for Russia but also of the current White House administration. That's why they were supporting those forces as Orban and other politicians. They were the part of EU, but they were at the same time in opposition to EU, so they were destroying the bloc of the democratic countries from inside. And EU, I would say, it's the last stronghold of democracy with huge resources, population, and perspectives for the future. And Ukraine, of course, wants to join this family. Well, there are other countries like Canada, United Kingdom, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, South Korea, yeah, many more nice countries. But as a bloc, as the power of unity, European Union is the competitor for Russia, for China, for the United States, and that's why I believe that the European Union should have its own military, its army. Crisis of American centrism, you see, even though they're in very good relations with Donald Trump himself, still the strategic goal for Russia is to make America weak. And Donald Trump is also fulfilling its goal. He is making America weak himself. Next, creation of a fully controlled buffer state on territory of Ukraine. Fully controlled, again, like Belarus, for example, or incorporation of Ukraine into Russia. So basically, two of those variants they're making at the same time right now. They're annexing Ukrainian territory, and they want to make the part of the Ukrainian territory as the Russian vassal country. Or creation of a new East Slavic state. So yeah, fully slave to Russia. And that is the real goal of the special military operation, to restore ambitions of Russia, to destroy West, and to annex many more countries, neighbors. Without Ukraine, Russia is not that strong, but I don't see any sort of the perspective for Russia to succeed in that, but they may blah blah blah. And the forecast till 2050, again, it's the optimistic scenario for Russia, leadership and ensuring global security and justice, whatever it means. Fully multipolar strengthening of Russians standing as the independent actor, so the same force as, for example, China nowadays or the United States of America. So Russia wants to, again, restore Russian Empire, because next goes formation of its own macro region in Eurasia. So not just Ukraine, macro region means ex-Soviet countries or the countries which were affiliated with the Soviet Union, including Poland, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, well now it's Czech and Slovakia republics, part of Germany, why not, Finland, Baltic countries, we're not even speaking about it here, they want to occupy everything. Next, triune unity of the Russian people. Here they say Russians, Belarus and Ukrainians, but it is useless, it will not happen. Collapse of the imperialist plan of the Western countries. So basically, again, annihilate West. America, Europe, Western values, democracy, and everyone should leave our totalitarian rule of autocracy. Well, this goal is really ambitious, yeah, this positive program. This is like a fairy tale, because if you check out what is happening on the front lines, what is happening in the Russian economy, how capable Russian army really is, I don't think that they would be capable to achieve their optimistic scenario. By the way, for the optimistic scenario, on the conference itself, they say that they might use nuclear weapons for the optimistic scenario, yes, to achieve those goals. But at the same time, they have the pessimistic scenario for Russia, so 2036, defeat in the SMO and the confrontation with the West. For now, I see that Russia is more close to that scenario. Then Ukraine is in NATO, sharp increase in threats to state security and territorial integrity. Well, I think that there are many of the forces in Russia who might start to do it themselves, like for example Northern Caucasus and Chechnya. Next, trend to the complete loss of all post-Soviet states, their wait-and-see observer position towards Russia. I see. That is what now is happening with Armenia. Yeah, they want to join the European Union, they proclaimed it, the government currently in power there. And this month there are going to be elections, I think maybe even the next week, and Russia plans to rig them, sending lots of the Armenian citizens who live in Russia for a long time. They're paid, they will go to Armenia and vote for pro-Russian candidate. Well, we'll see, because before those kind of the tricks didn't help Russia to change the power in Moldova. They really there. Next, emergence of the new conflict, Southern Ossetia, Transnistria, yeah, it could be. Also within Russia itself, as I mentioned to you, Northern Caucasus, this is a very explosive region for Russia. Next, preservation of the region's sovereignty in a reduced form, so Russia loses its influence. It already, I would say, lost it. Because all of the actions of Putin led to the weakening of Russia. Russian economy, Russia is now slaved, for example, to China. Without China, Russia wouldn't be able to continue the war in Ukraine. And the long-term forecast, colonization of Russia, redistribution of the spheres of the global influence, establishment of unipolar post-globalist world. But Russia is against globalists. Why they put it as a negative forecast? By the way, there is no post-globalism, and it will never happen. The world is being globalized more and more, and this trend is a history trend. It doesn't matter if Donald Trump wants to change it or Russia. No, we'll be more global. That's the natural thing, and that's how our societies develop. We are becoming more united, and technologies help with that. Internet, you're watching me from any sort of the country, so we're global already. And no one can kill this trend. Next, Russia lost the war, but they already lost it here, SMO. Now they say about the war. Do they plan some of the global war? Come on. Next, complete destruction of sovereignty. Now it's been also partially destroyed, because as I've told you, Russia depends on China a lot in every sort of the sphere. All of the economy of the Russian Federation mainly depends on China. Change in the configuration of military alliance, creation of the military bloc based on the European Union. You see, this is their main fear. They are afraid for European Union to come out with its army. Yeah, and not just Russia afraid of that, China and the United States of America under current administration. So guys, tell me, what forecast do you think is more probable? Well, I think that some of the points, even of the negative scenario, could not be implemented, but I see the trend more to negativity for Russia than for positivity. They call occupation and global war with West. It seems like some of the positive scenario, and they mentioned using nukes. Wow. And what I may tell here, guys, that our Western politicians, they're still sleeping, especially those who are in Europe, because Russia is very close, and they still trade with Russia. They still have some of the corruption schemes with the Russian oil, Russian refineries, etc. For example, Kellen Robertson is now in Ireland, and he's investigating some of the politicians and businessmen who work directly with Russia. Yeah, through some of the schemes, but they work providing some of the even tools for the Russian military. So if those corrupt politicians, officials, bureaucrats would continue to play their stupid games with Russia, well, it might backfire, because Russia is damn serious about their demands. European leaders, they still are sleeping, I would say, if we speak about the understanding of the real threat which might come from Russia. And Russia is not going to stop. You saw it? 2036. I also believe that while Putin is alive, He will continue his military operation, no matter what. It is the #1 priority for him. So sadly, the war itself will continue. And yes, Russia is losing resources, Russia is losing army, but if needed, Russia may announce a new mobilization. Russia will screw everything, its own economy. Russia will go in full dependence from China directly just to continue the war. That's his fixing on this war. I mean, personal fixing of Putin and Russian regime in general. For them, the war in Ukraine is the existential one, and they see it more wider. It's just the first step for them to occupy vast lands, and they still live in this wonderland that they're winning.
Очаровательная. Очаровательная.
Okay, that's the St. Petersburg forum, and the local Russian journalist is reporting about it. Очаровательная, so wonderful, wonderful, wunderbar, wunderbar weather.
Очаровательная питерская погода сегодня.
Yeah, very beautiful weather in St. Petersburg. Yeah, I forgot to check the weather. Definitely the sky is almost clear, some fumes, but that's fine. In general, it's not rainy, not snowy, everything is perfect. I agree with that. He says it's kind of hot. Yeah, it's hot. Okay, so what is out there on this economy forum? Some of the stands. What is this? What is this?
Скажи что-нибудь. Как тебя зовут? Как тебя зовут?
Robot that's supposed to talk is not talking.
Скажи что-нибудь. Как тебя зовут? Как тебя зовут?
Maybe wrong language. They should say "Ni hao." Russian football robots.
Ready.
Did he say bloody? Are those made in UK?
Ready.
Bloody hell, mate, we cannot play football here. It's slippery and nasty. Well, they have some of the Russian letters, but yeah, I think those are China-made.
Специальный представитель Соединенных Штатов Америки.
Russian correspondents are saying that, oh, for the first time, this economy forum is being visited by the official representative of the United States of America. Wow. Well, first of all, I would like to hear why. Why the United States of America representative went there to listen how Russia wants to dismantle West or what? Or some other reason, I don't know. And the second stuff about this remark. Oh, official representative from USA. From USA. You see? You see, they hate West, but they admire it at the same time. Remember those cars on Washington? Yeah, we're gonna nuke Washington. Why? Because Russians, they're elite. They understand that they cannot reach that sort of the level. I would say never. And they're so envy that they would like to destroy the entire world just to be loved by America or some Western countries. We should scare them. It's like a very toxic relation with a psychopath, with some of the beatings, some of the scandals. That is Russia. Yeah. And they actually do not like their country. If you tell any Russian, okay, you'll have a green card tomorrow, go, and they will go. I mean, 90% for sure. Oh, this is something new, something interesting. This is FP7 ballistic missile that was presented by Ukraine on a test so far. Yeah, it's been launched, but it is already flying somewhere. So I believe that till the end of this year, there is at least the plan for Ukraine to introduce FP7 and FP9 missile to the military. FP9 is capable to fly for more than 800 kilometers, FP7 I think up to 200 kilometers. So it's like the competitor to ATACMS maybe. Well, ATACMS range is 300, here is 200 with something. But the plus for FP7 and FP9, it is very hard to intercept those. So Ukraine will obtain new tools to destroy Russian logistics, Russian bases, Russian absolutely everything within their range. Also oil depots, oil ports, and maybe even military ships, big ones. Russia doesn't have enough air defense capabilities to intercept those missiles. Well, S-300, S-400, theoretically, they may intercept those, but the effectiveness of those is way less compared to PAX-3 Patriot missiles. So this missile is good to go, and it's pink. Yeah, pink is the color actually of the Ukrainian warriors. Yeah, it may sound strange, but it is like that. It is coming from Cossack times, yeah. So, for example, this is the flag of Zaporizhia, and it is pink. Well, actually, initially it is red, but because it was waving on the sun and the paint wasn't that great of the time, it changed the color to pink, and it started to be pink, okay, since that time. And the emblem of the Ukrainian military, it is also pink. And pink is now a new trend because of the Flamingo missile. Yeah, Flamingo is pink, so everything is pink. Now I'm also wearing today pink shirt, something pink. Yeah, it's kind of the army color. Yeah, nice color. I like it a lot, especially when pink missiles are flying to Russia. Awesome. And here, guys, again, I want to emphasize the tasteless governments of the European Union countries, like, for example, Greece. Greece officially appealed to Ukraine over the lost drone. Main points: the unmanned surface vessel discovered in a Greek territorial water seriously threatened maritime navigation and could have caused casualties among civilians. It could also have caused something, yeah. The transfer of military operations to Mediterranean a long distance from the actual front of the war endangers our national security, our national economy. Will transfer Ukraine, but Ukraine's right to self-defense cannot justify such actions. Fuck you. Yeah, sorry, I forgot to censor. Fuck you. It should sound like that. Why am I that harsh? Because Greece knows that very close to its territorial waters and from its shore itself, very close, there is the fuel transferring happening from the Russian sanctioned tankers to unsanctioned tankers. And if the oil has been transferred, who knows where it came from? Yeah, we don't know, we don't see, we don't hear, yeah, we are not arresting those tankers, no. Yeah, it's just Indian oil. India purchases oil from Russia, but somehow the same India has the oil for export. Yeah, Indian oil, of course. And Ukraine sees that. What the hell is happening? In Mediterranean, Russia earns money to continue the war. Let's send some of the drones there. Okay, one of the drones malfunctioned and it went to the territorial waters of Greece. But Greece, hello, maybe you need to cooperate with Ukraine in those operations. Maybe you need to detain those tankers somehow, because it is illegal. Why France is doing it? Why UK, Sweden sometimes? Yeah, not all the day, but sometimes they capture those tankers, even the United States of America. But no, we are here, we don't see you, no, Russia, but no, you pushed the war too far to Mediterranean, no, you shouldn't do it, of course, yeah. War is, if Ukraine has enough military support, if Ukraine has enough help, Ukraine wouldn't need to destroy those tankers with the drones. Ukraine fights for its own survival. It fights for entire Europe. Most of all, do you want Ukraine to give up in this war? Do you want Russia, to get those dirty oil money to feed its military, to occupy Ukraine, take Ukrainian people, Ukrainian army, and go for Europe? Go to Greece? Why not? Yeah, Greece. If you think that you're far away, no, you're kind of close. And it's not just for Greece. It's for even Ukrainian neighboring countries. Like, for example, I see some of the, and hear kind of the harsh rhetorics from Nawrocki and this right-wing Polish politician group, and they start to accuse Ukraine of something. Get lost.
It shows how deep Russian influence runs on this island.
Island of Greece, 12 kilometers from the Greek shore, international waters. Callan Robertson already filmed the video about the involvement of the Russian dark schemes, Shadow Fleet. This is his video about the corruption schemes and that European Union is involved.
Over the last 3 years, Russia has amassed a vast army of aging oil tankers. Many are owned through Shell oil companies.
So this is happening within, like, very close to Greece. And Greece does absolutely nothing about it. It's better to blame Ukraine because, Ukraine harms some sort of the shadow schemes, yeah, with its drones. Oh, Ukraine is bad.
Giant tankers pass through these waters, and they secretly transfer oil from one ship to another in these exact waters. They stop, they anchor, and a hose goes between them. These ship-to-ship transfers move enormous amounts of fuel, and that money goes straight to Russia's war chest.
Europe, you need to wake up. You need to wake up, otherwise you saw the Russian plans, 2036, dismantling of EU as a bloc. Yeah, until 2050, Russia is mastering its control over the Eurasia or something. Yeah, but those greedy politicians, officials, bureaucrats, businessmen involved in those schemes, they don't care. They care about money. And if they sell their security of their countries to Russia for millions, it's pretty much a case scenario for them, because in case of the big confrontation, they might leave their countries, go to live somewhere to Bahamas. Yeah, like a variant, if you have money, you're welcomed in many of the countries. Yeah, this video is already kind of long, but I want to say more, so maybe I'll film one more video. Stand by for it. In a few hours I'm gonna upload it. And by the way, I have my Twitch channel, my another channel, it's called Captain Dennis, so you may just search it on YouTube or check out the links below, where I stream almost, well, I try to stream often, not every day, but I try. So today probably I'm gonna stream something on Twitch and on Trash channel after publishing this video. If you are interested, you are very welcome. And my friends, please support the channel on Patreon. The link for it is in the video description right below. You may also join membership of YouTube by pressing button join, obviously if you can. And press like, subscribe for the channel, it is very important. And I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.